that your biggest challenge today was going to be fighting the cold, finding a parking spot, that sort of thing, but I've got news for you. The next two speakers, back to back, are lawyers. And I'm told that we have to vacate this place before the State of the Union address starts. So tighten your seatbelts. Actually, what I wanted to share is something very brief but very important. As you go up to the Capitol today, many of you will be talking with, praying with your legislators. There, every Tuesday is a prayer meeting at the Capitol. It's been going on for 24 years, even when the legislature's not in session. And it's in room 304. So I'd encourage you to come encourage the prayer warriors at the Capitol when you're up there today. 12 to 1 in room 304. If you can come up even for 5 or 10 minutes, I think you would be blessed and you would bless the prayer warriors. They come to pray according to 1 Timothy chapter 2, which says, I urge, first of all, that prayers be made for those in authority, that we might live gentle and peaceable lives in all godliness and holiness. The next sentence is amazing to me. The next sentence in that passage says, this pleases God, who wants all men to be saved. What in the world does praying for our rulers have to do with people being saved? Well, that's the essence of what our next speaker is going to talk about. There are things worth fighting and dying for. A couple of days ago, I was reading the Founder's Bible, and it told the story of the Pilgrims. They wanted something very simple. They wanted to worship and serve God according to their conscience. And they were prevented from doing so by the powers that be in England. Some of them were arrested. Some of them were killed. Many others escaped to Holland, where they were pursued and again arrested, and some of them were killed. The ones who escaped Holland found a way through the darkness to the Mayflower. And the Mayflower somehow found its way to these shores. And that first winter, 42 of the 100 and some, I think it was 107, 42 of the 107 perished that first winter. And the captain of the Mayflower came to the survivors, all but I think 6 of whom were very sick. And he said, get on the boat, let's go back. We're all going to die. None of them returned because there was something worth dying for, and it was religious liberty. We are now at a moment in time in this nation when some of us may have to give up some liberty, some of us may be harassed, some of us may be arrested. But we're now at a time in our nation's history where once again we have to decide, will we stand up for religious liberty? Our special speaker is from the nation's largest religious liberty law firm, Alliance Defending Freedom. I've been to 5 of their trainings. I'm an allied attorney. We've handled about 60 cases or controversies here in Iowa with their help. They do the heavy lifting. We do the local council stuff. Meet with the clients and so forth. And I'm so thankful for Alliance Defending Freedom being raised up by God and by people like Dr. Dobson and other national leaders, D. James Kennedy and others have founded you guys. And Joel, I'm thankful for you coming to Iowa to share with us how we can once again stand up for religious liberty in Iowa. Our special guest speaker, Joel Oster from the Alliance Defending Freedom. Joel.
Joel Osteen and Joel Oster. So I doubt a lawyer can tell you how to live your best life now anyways, but if you want to start on how to live your best life now, I think the family leader is a good place to start on how to live pretty good lives. But thank you, Chuck, for inviting me to come up here from down south. I enjoy this nice climate you've given me. I've only had one frostbitten year today, so it's a good thing. So, and I enjoy I guess I'm here with a lot of Baptist pastors. I really enjoy debating theology. I'm a Nazarene. And so I don't know if you know the difference between Baptists and Nazarenes. John was a Baptist, but Jesus was a Nazarene. Well, I want to share with you this word from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is this. And these three remain: faith, hope, and love. Now, I want to focus on that verse this morning because I think it's important as we hear those words. These three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. I want to focus on the word remain. When you hear the word remain, you think of you are in the middle of a battle. You're in the middle of a fight, a conflict. I'm thinking of a basketball game maybe where it's the end of the game and the coach is looking down to the bench to see who remains, who can he use to win this game. And we are in a battle. We are in a conflict for our very first freedom, religious freedom, religious liberty. It's our very first commandment. If you want to look at the Bill of Rights, your very first commandment is not freedom of speech, it's not freedom of assembly, it's freedom of religion. That is our very first freedom, and it is under attack in America. I have a client I represent, Trisha Rowe. She is a 31-year-old lady in Michigan, and she wanted to follow her religious beliefs, and she wanted to have a roommate, a Christian female roommate, to share her house with, that they can encourage each other in their faith and pray together and read the Bible together. So she put an ad out at her church saying, seeking a Christian female roommate. Now, Trisha, 31 years old, lives in a 900 square foot home, one bathroom, and the Michigan Department of Civil Rights initiated a complaint against her, an investigation saying you are discriminatory in seeking out a female Christian roommate. According to the Michigan Department of Civil Rights, she had to accept a Muslim male as a roommate. We had to defend her. This is in America where you think you have the freedom to practice your faith, but the freedom of religion is under attack. There's even a movement to change the nomenclature from free exercise of religion, freedom of religion, to freedom of worship. That's a key distinction. According to some, your freedom of religion rights just means you have the right to think about religion and to think about God in the inner recesses of your mind. So you have a freedom of worship. But that's not our First Amendment. Our First Amendment is the free exercise of religion. Now, this might come as a shock to some of you, but I've been to the gym a couple times and seen a personal trainer. And if I went to my personal trainer next week and I told him that, you know what, I didn't actually lift any weights this week, but I thought about it. Is that good enough? No, free exercise. Exercise means activity. It means actions, doing things. And so our free exercise of religion means we have the right to practice our faith and to live out our faith. But in America, that right is being threatened. I represented Morgan Nyman, who was a second-grade student, and she wanted to pass out religious valentines during her school Valentine party that said, frog, fully rely on God, and dog, depend on God. And the teacher says, no, you cannot pass out that Valentine. It's not allowed because it's religious, and we have separation of church and state in this country. So our First Amendment was used as an attack, as a sword, taking away Morgan Nyman's right to freely exercise her faith. I represented Greece, New York this year. They were sued by Susan Galloway and Linda Stevens over the issue of whether or not the town of Greece, New York could open up its legislative sessions in prayer. Now, I don't know if Iowa opens up their sessions in prayer, but in Greece, New York, it's a town board, and they allow their sessions to be opened up in prayer. And they were sued under the theory that you cannot allow prayers in Jesus' name. So I was in court before the U.S. District Court here in New York, and then before the Second Circuit, and went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. We had argument this past November 6th defending the right of Christians to pray in Jesus' name in public. Again, the right to freely practice your faith is under attack in America. But I want to bring you to this understanding. If I only have one thing to tell you today, this is it. And that is we are in a new day and a new age because the attack on religious freedom has now taken I say that? In the past, Des Moines or D.C. Congress might have passed a law that you disagreed with because of your faith. For instance, they might have passed a law regarding abortion that because of your religious beliefs you opposed. All right. Or they might have passed a law regarding marriage that, based upon your religious beliefs, you thought was a bad idea for our communities. All right, that's one thing. That's an attack on religious freedom in a way. But today, we see a totally different nature to the attack. Because today, this government is telling you, you have to violate your religious beliefs. You see, in the past, it was just simply, we're going to pass laws that you might disagree with based upon your religion, or we might prohibit you from doing something that you need to do for your faith. But now, the government is actually requiring you proactively to violate your faith. You see the difference? It's a key distinction, but that's why the fight is being ramped up by the other side. We represent Conestoga Wagons. It's a Mennonite business out of Pennsylvania. And Hobby Lobby is part of the same case. And we are going before the U.S. Supreme Court here in March over the issue of whether or not the government can require these two businesses to violate the founders of these businesses' religious beliefs and practices by requiring them to provide coverage for abortifacients. I'm representing Lane in Lane Photography. She's a photographer in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And she was told by the New Mexico Supreme Court that she had to take pictures of a same-sex wedding ceremony in violation of her religious beliefs. And according to the court in New Mexico, that was the price of freedom in America. Well, the question I had for the court was, how come the price of freedom could not have been that the same-sex couple go to one of the other 1,000 photographers that are in New Mexico? Why couldn't they have taken her picture? Why are you requiring Elaine to violate her religious beliefs in order to take a picture of this wedding ceremony? And we see these cases sprouting up all over America. In Washington, Arlene Flowers, that business is being required to provide services for a wedding ceremony that violates their religious beliefs. We see cake decorators in New York and in Colorado, even here in Iowa. There's a recent case involving the use of a facility to hold a domestic or a same-sex wedding. So the ability to practice your faith is under attack here in America. Your First Amendment, the free exercise of religion, is under attack, and it needs protection. And I can go on and afterwards, if you want to talk, I'll be available for questions as to why that attack is new and fresh now. But I want to close with this thought: faith, hope, and love. We are in the middle of a battle. We have to have faith. We have to have faith that God is still in control. No matter what happens here in Des Moines, no matter what happens in Washington, D.C., we have to have faith that God is in control and our future is in his hands and nothing surprises God. And our call is to be faithful to God. And not even to win, our call is to be faithful to God. But we have to have hope. Hope that I can leave my sons a better future and more freedom than what my parents gave me. Hope for a better and brighter future. But finally, in everything, all of our actions, all of our lobbying activities, all of our legislating, all of our litigating has to be done in love. That is the call from God. We want to do it in such a way that it pleases God. And so I look forward to the future. Again,